Graph, label any intercepts and asymptotes, state the domain and range of the function f of x equals log base 3 of x plus 4 plus 1. Let's label some of the information. First, the b value is going to be 3, the base of the log. The h value is going to be -4, and k is 1. Now that we have these values, we can figure out what the translations are. The horizontal translation is 4 units to the left, and the vertical translation, since k is 1, is going to be 1 unit up. The basic function f of x equals log base 3 of x is given by the following curve. It first has a vertical asymptote at x equals 0, a point at 1, 0, and the curve takes this shape. Two other noteworthy points are the points 3, 1, and also 1/3, -1. Let's take this information and the translations and shift these 3 points. The first point, 1, 0. As we shift that 4 units to the left and 1 unit up, the x-coordinate becomes -3, the y-coordinate is 1. The next point, 3, 1. Shift that 4 units to the left, the x-coordinate is -1. 1 unit up, the y-coordinate is 2. And finally, the point 1/3, -1. When we shift that 4 units to the left, we get 1/3 -4, 0. Let's go ahead and get out our calculator and approximate this 1/3 -4 and round off to the nearest tenth. We end up with -3.7, 0. So there are 3 points on this curve. Now let's find our intercepts. The first one we'll look at is the y-intercept. The y-intercept, remember, is when x is 0. So when x is 0, f of 0 equals log base 3 of 0 plus 4 plus 1. This gives us log base 3 of 4 plus 1. Once again, it would be good to have an approximation. So let's get out our calculator and plug this in. And we get approximately 2.3. So the y-intercept would be 0, 2.3. Now let's look for the x-intercept. The x-intercept is when the y-coordinate is 0. Well, we kind of lucked out because the point that we already translated had the y-coordinate of 0, so the x-intercept is the same, -3.7, 0. And finally, the asymptote. The vertical asymptote in the general function log base 3 of x is at x equals 0. Translate that 4 units to the left, and the vertical asymptote is x equals -4. Let's take all this information and graph our function. First, the vertical asymptote at x equals -4. Label it, and now plot the points. The x-intercept, -3.7, 0. The y-intercept, 0, 2.3. And the shifted points. We already handled the -3.70, so the remaining ones are -1, 2, and finally -3, 1. And we connect the dots. And this is the graph of the function log base 3 of x plus 4 plus 1. The last thing we need to find is the domain and range. The domain on this particular problem is -4 to infinity. And the range on this particular problem is -infinity to +infinity.